place. You remember when I started at ICANN, I used in my speech the word oasis. Because I come from a country of oasis. In Egypt, we have many oases. And the oasis is a place that is unique because it rarely has walls to separate it. It's an open place. It's an attractive place. It's a place that gives life. And I said I would like to work so ICANN is never a fortress, but rather an oasis. A fortress is the same thing. It's a safe place, but it has a very different mentality. It has big walls, and there are those of us inside and everybody else outside. That's a fortress. An oasis is open, and it's welcome, and it has life. And I use these terms because ICANN, for many of us who come from different countries, as I see here, is a place that frankly offers a different model of engagement, a different model for humans to work together to solve complex problems. It's not perfect. I'm sure you discovered this week, and you will discover as you hopefully get engaged. It's messy. I meet government officials who say, we like going to the UN because everything is clear. Yesterday, I met the chairman of the Busan conference for the ITU that just occurred. You know about the ITU meeting in Busan. It was a major meeting for telecommunications regulators and ministers. And the chairman came to visit me. And he said, you know, we arrived to our meetings in the ITU or the UN, but months before the meeting, the agenda is perfectly set. We know exactly what decisions are made. We make the decisions before we come to the meeting. We come to the meeting, we put our flags, we vote, and we walk out. And everything is clear. Maybe there's some back-end negotiations. Sometimes we fight over some votes, but in general, that's how it works. He says, here, my goodness, you know, there is chaos. But then he said, I like it. It's good. You got a lot done this week. You know, people got into the decision-making process together. Now, the part that I would like to tell every one of you is that the model of ICANN is messy, but it is a model that has been used for thousands of years in tribes and families. It's a model of getting together and building consensus. And sometimes that's, you know, a little bit heated. But at the end of the day, it's a family consensus, or it's tribal consensus, or it's a country consensus, whatever you want to call it. Consensus is not easy to define. In fact, one of the biggest criticisms ICANN gets from especially governments is, what is this consensus thing? Where is the definition? Can you give me an actual written set of rules? It's just not written. We actually, you may have heard the term, we call it rough consensus, which makes it even sound worse to people who want rules. Rough consensus means it's, you know, it takes leadership and wisdom to sit in a room of people who are fighting. I'll give you an example that happened this week. You may have heard in the hallways. One of the rising problems we have is governments are signing a common letter coming to ICANN saying you need to regulate certain TLDs in a unique way. Certain TLDs like .bank or .dentist or .doctor, things like that. And they have a view, the ALAC, our ALAC leaders have a different view, similar but different. Of course, the registries and registrars have a third different view, and the fighting started on Monday. Okay? And it was getting heated. Different views. I'm not going to walk you through the arguments. I'm just making the point of how we solve things at ICANN. So late in the evening on Tuesday, I arranged for an announced, so transparent meeting, but meeting that was including leaders of the ALAC, leaders of the GAC, leaders of the business community, leaders of the registrars and registrars, some of my board members. I invited them. We closed the doors and we said, okay, let's go at it. Everybody explain your positions and how we're going to solve this. And we worked very hard for 4 hours to try and build some understanding of each other so we can reach a consensus. And so what would have been letters and communiques and positions and fighting is now changed into, let's keep the dialogue, let's keep understanding each other. So I have another meeting set up for 4 hours with them. And hopefully at the end of these meetings, we can come with common solutions that have consensus. This is hard work. It is easier to simply have written positions and put the flag and vote, and then no one is happy. But that's the spirit of ICANN. And there's much to do. There's much to do. I want to give you one more dimension. Internet governance is much, much, much more than what happens at ICANN. Be aware of that. ICANN is not deciding how to manage, for example, taking down sites that do bad things. We don't do that. That is not our business. ICANN, this President Sisi of Egypt met me to tell me, look, we need to come up with an effort to shut down terror sites and find the perpetrators of hate for our children to go and do XYZ. Can you help? It's not my job, I said. I'm sorry, it's not ICANN's job. Do you think that's a good answer? Do you think he was happy? And it's not a good answer. So he told me, this is not good. You're a leader, you need to do something about it. So what I started doing is getting other leaders to work with him. So we created a coordination mechanism to work with him. So I met the Secretary General of the Interpol, the International Police. I met the CEO of AT&T, because we'll need ISPs involved, we'll need the Interpol involved, we'll need governments involved. We met the French president, and we will get him involved. So it takes leadership and work to solve these big problems, but it is not ICANN's job. So please do not walk out of here thinking ICANN should expand its remit. I believe any organization that becomes too big and expands its remit actually becomes very bureaucratic and frankly doesn't get work done. Instead, what we want is, now write down that word, because in a couple of years people will remember the importance of this word. What we need is a polycentric internet governance model. This is a key word, and it has legal meaning, and also it has political science meaning. Polycentrism is the idea that to solve a problem, in this case internet governance, what you want is multiple centers of solutioning rather than a single center for solution. What we want is a polycentric model that has ICANN solving names and numbers, the IETF doing protocol parameters, the W3C handling some specific things regarding browsers and content, other folks starting to solve other things, and the collection of all these players together solve the problem. Now, when you create a polycentric model, which by the way we're working towards, there are many of us now working. So for President Sisi, for example, the idea would be, why don't we create a coordination center that is specialized in building policies for taking down sites in an orderly way when they have broken certain international rules, instead of the willy-nilly work that happens now. When Charlie Hebdo happened in Paris, President Hollande ordered a whole bunch of sites shut. It sounds normal, it's good, it's a normal reaction, shut down the sites. The reality is, it's not that simple. When he went to Orange, the French provider, to shut down some sites, Orange said, well, there's a legal framework here. I mean, I have contracts. How do I do that? Who will be liable when I shut them? It's complicated. And then, of course, some of Some Muslims believe that these sites are actually good. Who decides? Where's civil society to say this is a site that is indeed promoting bad things, and this is a site that is simply promoting justice? It's complicated, and it's gray. And now we need not just legal, knowledgeable people and technically capable people who know how to find these things. We also need wisdom. We need wisdom. And wisdom you cannot learn in any school. Wisdom you learn from being with other people and sharing experiences and listening to others and really having a human spirit that wants to solve things, not just to impose your ideas. So a polycentric internet governance model is what we need to do. And I will tell you one more thing. What's the time? Somebody, I left my watch. Okay. Very good. I want to tell you one more thing about the polycentric model. When I tell governments we need a polycentric model, you know what they tell me? They say this sounds like a fantastic idea because you're going to have small, focused coordination institutions or mechanisms solving problems. We like that. It'll be fast, it'll be internet speed, and very focused. The problem is when you have a polycentric model, the science tells you that very quickly you need something called a map. Because then if I was with Jean-Philbert, the minister of ICT in Rwanda, and Jean-Philbert was telling me, okay, I love the idea of polycentric, but how do I find them? So here I am, I wake up in the morning, we have a major problem of, I don't know, child pornography in Rwanda. And I need to introduce a policy to stop this kind of behavior. Before I introduce a policy, I'd like to know which place in the polycentric model is focused on that. So how do I find it? He says in the ITU or the UN, it's easy. I just show up and I ask, it's all centralized for telecom regulation. So I can quickly find what I need, and if I have a problem, this is where I go to solve the problem. So we need a map. We need a mechanism and a place where people can go and say, where do I go find these solutions? Not only where do I go find the solution on child pornography, who implemented the solution? Ah, this was implemented by Sweden and Egypt. Okay, great. Can I see how they implemented it? Well, here are the policies they made. Can I see the impact of their policies? Did it work? Yes, these people saw a reduction. Great. Can I connect with the people who implemented that policy in this country? Yes, here are their contacts. Is there a series of experts I can talk to who can help me do this in Rwanda? Yes, here's a series of experts you can contact. That's a map. And for those who ask you, what the heck is Net Mundial doing? That's what Net Mundial is doing. They're building this map. That's what netmundial.org is doing. They're going to be building this map. This is another initiative I had started with our friends in Brazil and the World Economic Forum. We need a map. If we don't have a good map, and we don't have examples of polycentric solutions, then eventually there will be one major, probably governmental institution that says, we will regulate the internet. And what's bad about that? Anybody? What's bad about that? What do you think is bad about that? Because I want to debate this. I don't want to just make a statement to you.
Is it the diversity of the people? A lot of times a government may see things to be happening a certain way, but not everybody may share this opinion. Yeah. And I also wanted to make a comment, since you mentioned that you would like a polycentric governance solution. Is it the similar kind of model that you have at ICANN, where you have constituencies taking care of different things? If that is the case, I feel as a first-time fellow that even that map was missing over here. Yeah. The first 2 days I was miserable because I was trying to find my way around what constituency or what area do I belong to.
Brilliant. You fantastic comment. Let me separate the pieces you said. So first on your reaction to a polycentric model. Yes, it is kind of like ICANN works inside the ICANN thing, but at this level you're right, and if you go up one level, then it's by subject. In our case, names and numbers is here, etc. So I think you get that, and yes, it should be, I think that a governmental centralized model will eventually, unequivocally, exclude the participation in the decision-making, exclude many of us from that participation. Inevitably, governments will gravitate to work only with governments. And the internet cannot be governed only by governments. I think that's understood now. This is why, let's be blunt, President Sisi talks to me. Why would he ask me to help? If he could, with his own power and his own governmental ability, or through intergovernmental organizations, solve the problem, he wouldn't be talking to me. The reality is the internet is truly itself a multi-stakeholder architecture. In order to address issues in the internet, you need all the players. 96% of the infrastructure of the internet, the physical servers, machines, routers, networks, is owned by the private sector. And the ownership is spread like butter around the world. So the jurisdiction of a country like Egypt over the networks that feed Egypt with the internet is very questionable. The companies that have these networks or these satellites are all over the world. So the reality is, to govern the internet, you need all the stakeholders at the table. And we, those of us who care about civil society, know that we need civil society at the table. Because if we don't, then who decides this is a bad side and this is a good side? Do you want me to make that decision? Right now they're coming at me saying, shut all the pharmacies online. The drug companies in America are saying, shut all the pharmacies online. I got a petition at the last meeting that was brought here in front of me by a Dr. Emeritus from the University of Southern California, who's an older gentleman who came barely able to walk to the stage, with a petition signed by 22,000 senior, older people in America, begging me not to shut online pharmacies because they cannot afford to buy their drugs in America. They buy them online from Canada. Please don't shut them. I got a petition from women around the world because there is a site in Amsterdam run by women feminists to provide abortion drugs for women around the world who can't get them. Who am I to decide that this is a good thing or a bad thing? It's not my job. It is, I need civil society at the table, guiding the spirit of this work, so that governments do not make these decisions in the absence of human rights people and in the absence of people who are from civil society. This is complicated. Now let me take the second part of your question. I know, Cassia, we have to go this, because she was very precise about the point I'm very worried about. Okay, so we talked about the map for overall internet governance. We need a map for how to work within ICANN. ICANN itself needs a map. So this is kind of a sub-map level, right? So you arrive and SOs and ACs and consultation rooms and working groups and cross-community working groups. There's about, when you arrive at ICANN, I tell them it's like a pool with 500 swim lanes, right? And you don't know where to jump. It's complicated. I've been at ICANN for 2.5 years. I think I get half of it by now. It's complicated. And I am briefed, deeply briefed about what's going on. ICANN is a very broad organization. It has a lot of activities. So our job, Janice's job, my team's job, those who've been here, Nush and others for a while, our job is to actually show you the lanes. Not tell you which lane to jump on. Explain to you, these are the lanes. This is where this lane will lead you. If you go down this lane, this is how you can contribute. This is the kind of people you'll be dealing with. This is the kinds of outcomes you could make. Okay? Now, we have a website with 83,000 pages. I'm not going to send you to the website. You know, it's a huge website, and we're now moving all the archives on it. It's going to be 10 times that size. So what I think you need, which I got at this meeting, and I talked to Janice briefly about yesterday, we need to institutionalize a mentor program. Which means when you become a fellow, part of this process, we need to assign you, or you need to pick from, say, 2, 3 mentors. Okay, this is the background of this person, background of this, pick a mentor. And we'll give you a mentor who will be trained himself or herself, and then committed to stay with you until you can mentor somebody else. So I started by asking and recruiting people to be mentors. I talked to all the retired board members of ICANN on yesterday. I had lunch with them. And I said, folks, you are retired, you have been on the ICANN board, you know this community very well. Who is willing to be a mentor for a number of fellows? And many sent me their names, and I'll be chasing them so that we can start giving you this as an institutional activity. You need that. Otherwise, it's a very broad pool with many lanes, as opposed to a long pool with a few lanes. So we need to make sure we help you this way. And I'm sorry that it will take time, but we owe you that answer.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I love suggestions.
I just feel that what you just pointed out is a questions-based model. Even when we have a mentor, the quality of mentorship that we will receive will greatly depend upon the kind of questions we're asking them.
Yeah.
I think if they could be just one leg added, I think after the first 3 days, I was in a position to even start getting my voice and have questions. If there could be one unified, maybe orientation program, which allows us to perhaps land quicker to that place where we can start asking questions and start really grilling and digging deeper with our mentors. That would be very helpful. That was missing. I think I spent the first 3 days of my fellowship trying to get to a point where I can even find my voice and be confident to ask a question without thinking in my head that's probably very elementary and everybody's going to know.
Okay.
Heard and noted. Heard and noted. Very much. Thank you, because we don't want you to spend 3 days figuring out what's going on and then 2 days to pack your bags and leave. We want you to be effective when you land. And I think that's a very good thing that I'll take to heart. All right, my boss is asking me to walk quickly to my next meeting. I have 16 meetings today, so but that is a happy one for this morning. So I want to wish you a great day.
1 minute.
And you must say something, so we'll hear that and then on. Oh, we have a gift here. Okay. I love this.
Yeah.
Ahmed Isa, follow Sudan. This is my first time to participate in the ICANN. And before I think that ICANN is a technical meeting for only IT engineers. But when I came here, I found it is a civil society meeting, not a technical meeting. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the ICANN for giving us this opportunity to talk to you and to speak and to discuss. And I would like to send special thanks to Janice, to the coaches, to all the people who are behind this successful meeting, especially the presenters, who give us a lot of knowledge. And on behalf of myself and my colleagues who are going to do a partnership to spread the words of ICANN, I would like to present the logo of our organization, because this is the logo of our organization, where we share knowledge, experience, and best practices. And I committed myself to Fadi that immediately after we go back to Sudan, we are going to help a workshop that can spread the words of ICANN. Because to be, for the ICANN to be most amazing organization or multi-stakeholders, we have to spread the words. Because most of our community, they didn't know anything about ICANN. All of them, they know it is a technical committee or meetings. And I would like to say, from my own point of view, ICANN deserve to take over the transition of the ICANN function, because really it is a multi-stakeholder. And I would like to say, finally, that internet, as I said before, is not a water, it is not a food, it is not a clothes. But if it is utilized well, it can be all of those. Thanks to ICANN for facilitating the smoothness of the internet. Thank you.